How many of you, when you smell or taste a certain dish, it reminds you of home or a sense of safety? Great. Learning from my Mexican family how to make them, tacos have always been a long-time favorite, and preparing one is an art. While living in America, I noticed that there are many different versions of tacos being consumed. With that being said, many of you probably don't know what an authentic Mexican taco actually is, let alone know how to make one. Today, that's going to change. I will be teaching all of you how to make an authentic Mexican taco. Tacos are easy to prepare and assemble for a tasty dinner. First, you thoroughly season and cook your meat, then you prepare your line of toppings, and lastly, the easiest part, you put it all together into the most delicious food known to man. So before anything, you want to make sure that your hands are clean because you're going to be touching a lot of food today and no one wants to touch anything. Before you start, you want to be prepared with your tools and ingredients. You will need a medium pan, tongs, a sharp knife, and a cutting board. The ingredients would be cooking oil, thinly sliced steak, seasoning for the steak like cumin, black pepper, garlic powder, and salt. You will obviously need tortillas, yellow corn tortillas, this brand. The toppings are cilantro, yellow onion, lime, and this salsa is homemade. You also need this cheese. It's called queso fresco, which translates to fresh cheese. It's white cheese and it's a Mexican brand. It usually comes in a circle like this. You'll also need another heating source for your tortillas. You can also use the pan if you want. A container to put your tortillas and any type of rag to cover them up to keep them warm. Now when you start the meat, you want to get your medium pan on over medium heat and put a couple tablespoons of oil in it and let it simmer. With your meat, you want to thoroughly season both sides, but not too much because you don't want to overwhelm the meat. You take your tongs, place the meat into the pan, and cook both sides until it's brown. You don't want to burn it, obviously, because then you just wasted it. Once that is cooked, you take it out and put it onto the cutting board to cool down for a couple minutes. Once it's cooled down to the touch, you take your sharp knife and chop from right to left, move it around with your hand, right to left again, until you get really small pieces of meat. You don't want big chunks because it's a choking hazard, and since tacos are kind of small, big chunks of meat is a little too overwhelming for a small taco. Now once you're done with your meat, it should look like this. And now you move on to your assembly line. You take your tortillas, and get them ready. You want to separate them because they do stick together, and because they're so delicate, you want to be careful because they will rip. You take some oil, some salt, give it flavor, and you put it on there, rub it around so the oil is evenly distributed. You heat them up on both sides for a couple minutes, and once they're soft, you place them into the container, wrap them up, keep them warm while you move on to your next step. Now for the cilantro, when you buy it, it comes in a bundle, and you need to cut off the stems because that part you don't want to eat. You want to eat the leafy part. You chop it up into very small pieces, like the meat. And for the onion, you want to chop into very, very small pieces as well, because onions, as we all know, have a strong flavor, and if you get a big chunk in your food, you're most likely not going to want to eat the rest of your food. So what we want are very small diced onions. The salsa is made from jalapeno and tomatillo, which looks like a green tomato. And don't worry, there's only one jalapeno in here, so it's not that hot. And then your cheese, you just cut it open. And take a little knife, dice it into some small pieces, and place it out for people, ready for them to crumble it onto the taco. As you can see, the cheese is very delicate and crumbles easily. Now, it's time to assemble your taco. You get your tortilla, put a nice amount of steak on there. Cilantro, onion. I like a lot of salsa, so I'm just gonna pack that on. And then limes, these, to me, it's the best part of the taco because it gives it a sweetness and a sourness, and it just puts all the flavor together. Then some cheese, of course. Crumble it on top. There's a taco, and usually in Mexico, it's enjoyed with the ice cold Coke. See how quickly and easy that was? You all learned how to make the most simple and flavorful dish, from thoroughly seasoning and cooking it, to preparing the assembly line, to putting it all together into a great creation. I hope you all can accept this new knowledge from a gift from my family to yours, because I believe that your culture is something that should be shared to bring us all closer together.